Hey guys, happy Friday. So I saw something in social media land that was called like Freedom Friday. And you know how there's like all these different hashtags like Motivational Monday and Transformation Tuesday. And I thought, let me move because that window glare is like a little much. But anyways, I thought that was pretty cool. I never noticed it before. I never really saw a lot of posts for Freedom Friday, but I thought that was a really cool topic. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about freedom. And one of the things that came to my mind specifically is that freedom for me is going to be a totally different definition than what you may think of freedom as. And I actually saw this quote, and it was, I don't know who this person is, Amy Hill Hearth. And she said, maybe freedom means defining yourself any way you want to be. So anyways, I guess what this video is about is making your definition of like what freedom looks like for you. I saw a post from somebody in our team, one of my friends. She's a great person and leader. She had made a post about mom guilt and how her kids love going to the community pools over the summer, and that they love to go, but she personally hates it because it's crowded, there's a bunch of kids, and it kind of grosses her out to get in the pool with all those people. But so it's she used to go and get in the water with the kids and everything, because she felt this obligation. But then just as she's kind of grown in her journey, she's like, wait a minute, this brings me zero joy. And I'm not going to go and get in this pool because other people think, or because I have this belief that other people think I should, and that I'm a bad mom if I don't. And I was like, you know what? That is awesome. And that takes a lot of just courage and just personal knowledge of your own self to stand up for yourself to say no, that brings me zero joy. I'm not doing it. And so I thought that was awesome. And so that's just that's an example of somebody that has defined their freedom. She has defined for herself that she doesn't need to do that to bring herself joy or to feel good about herself as a mom. She's totally cool with bringing her kids, letting them go be in the pool while she sits by the pool and does her own thing. So, but I know from my own personal experience, my own personal journey, that a lot of times we really don't know what we want, and we don't know what makes us feel free, or even what we're wanting to go after. So for me, right now, and there's all different kinds of freedom. There is freedom of time, there is financial freedom, there is freedom to be who you want, be who you are, letting go of these expectations that you have of yourself, or that you believe people have of you. And so there's all these different kinds of freedoms, and until you really define what that looks like for you, you're really just going to be walking around the desert. So I've been reading this book called The 12-Week Year, and I can't think of the author off the top of my head, but if you Google it, it'll come up. It's a really, I've been really enjoying it so far because it's really helping me to focus and dial in where I personally want to be going in my life. And it's just kind of a reminder that if you just are not going in a certain direction, if you're not working towards a certain thing, then there's no real way to know where you're going to end up. It's just like if you got in your car and you had no destination, you just started driving around, you're either going to end up nowhere, like you're just going to make like a bunch of right turns and end up exactly where you started, or you're going to end up lost, or you're going to end up like on the wrong side of town where you don't want to be. And you're going to have wasted a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of resources. So like if you don't have a destination and you're not going to end up where you want to go if you don't know where that place is. For me, one of the goals that I know, or that I had been thinking about when I've been reading this book, The 12-Week Year, I actually wrote it down before I even had this idea of Freedom Friday. But I've been wanting to work on my freedom of time. And some of you guys that know me, I do work from home, and I'm a work-at-home mom. I have a 5-year-old son, and I know for me, and I'm just going to say this, I'm just going to put it out there. I know like when I used to work in an office setting, I used to see these work-at-home moms and stay-at-home moms and think like, oh man, they must have it made. Like they probably just get to do like nothing all day, and they probably just like get to watch TV whenever they want to, and they probably get to like spend hours and hours in the kitchen cooking and doing like all these fun things that they enjoy. And that is like nowhere near the truth. I've been working at home for 5 years, and I actually like Mikey goes to school full time. So, and I still don't feel like I have a grasp on my own time. And that's something that I'm wanting to like reclaim for myself, to where I don't allow work to take up my whole day, or I don't allow housework to take up my whole day. And I'm like being intentional in making sure that I am hitting the areas that I want to hit every day. And you can't do that unless you define what that looks like for you. So, like I needed to be intentional to kind of say, like, I control my schedule, I control my time, and I'm setting these boundaries that I'm not going to, Bruno, that I'm not going to work 12 hours a day. I'm not going to do housework for 12 hours a day. I'm going to make sure that I do these things that I want to do. And until that, like, and it sounds kind of self-explanatory, but if you don't actually think through each one of these steps and actually write it out, then your day ends up running you. And it's like, I have several people like that do the same business as me and are part of my team that have like since been able to leave their job, and they work at home now as well. And we've had this same conversation where it's like, I don't know what happens to my day. I start and I'm in my office all day on the computer, and then I don't know what happens, but then it's the end of the day, the kids are home, the kids are hungry, I gotta feed them, and you feel like you didn't get anything done. And that's how I felt a lot of times. And then like it leaves me feeling like unproductive in a way, even though I did work a lot. I don't know. So the thing is that that's because I didn't control my day. I didn't set those boundaries to make sure that I was hitting the areas that I want to spend my time doing. And the other thing that I really want to address about this issue or this topic of freedom, and this isn't necessarily about time, this is just overall, is that you have to make sure that you're being intentional to define what your definition of freedom is. And it's not going to be the same as somebody else's. And I think I may have said that at the start of this video. But there is going to be like a really big difference, because if you are just kind of latching on to somebody else's version of freedom, and you're just like trying to work towards the goal of somebody else's definition of freedom, it's going to be super unfulfilling. Even if you achieve it, like even if you got to it and you're like living this life that somebody else thought would be cool, it's not going to be the same for you. It's got to be yours. It's got to be what you want and what you envision for your life and for your family. I know that for me, I have seen like other successful people in my industry, and I have like tried to tailor my goals or my vision around what they were doing. But at the end of the day, even though like maybe I appeared successful, like on paper to some people, because I had achieved certain like mile marker achievements, it was empty for me because I wasn't like emotionally connected to that. Like it didn't make me feel satisfied because it wasn't mine. It wasn't like it wasn't my version of freedom. It wasn't my version of joy and what was going to make me feel fulfilled and purposeful. So my message for you today for Freedom Friday is to really think about what that looks like for you. You know, maybe you want to think about it as an overall picture, or maybe you want to kind of break it down, like I was saying, your freedom as far as time or financially, or what kind of mom you are, what kind of wife you are, those kind of freedoms. And just kind of think about that and define those things, because if you are just wandering around in the desert, you are going to wake up one day and say, what the heck happened? How am I now? Well, I'll be 36. So how am I now 36 and like have these things but don't feel like I achieved anything? And I have felt that way in multiple areas of my life, and I don't want you to feel that way. I don't want you to get caught up in that. So make sure that you are doing the things that are bringing you joy and that you're being intentional about that. Also, speaking of intentional, I have a group that is starting on Monday. It's a 5-day free group on being mindful, and mindful, intentional, they kind of go hand in hand. It's pretty much just going to be a free 5-day challenge that is going to help you just be a little bit more aware of your thoughts, and so that you can be more intentional, you can be more mindful about how you're spending your day, about what your thoughts actually are, what you're doing. Like, I cannot tell you how many people I've spoken to and how many times I've personally experienced days where it's like I get home and I can't even tell you one thing about like what the drive home was like, because I just wasn't in the moment. I wasn't being mindful. Or you can eat like an entire plate for lunch and you're like, okay, I ate lunch, and then you're like, I could ask you what you had and you're like, I don't remember, because you're not being mindful. You're just being like mind busy, and you're not like taking in like what's going on around you and like making it meaningful and like just finding the joy in those moments. So anyways, guys, I would love to have you join. It's going to be starting on Monday. There is a post on my wall if you want to just comment. I don't have the Facebook group open yet, but if you want to just comment on there, I'll know to add you in. And if you have anyone, any friends that you think would benefit from that group, I'd love for you to invite them as well. So anyways, I hope my message about freedom today helped you in some way, and that my sporadic comments and commentary made sense. But thank you guys so much for hopping on and watching. I hope you're having an awesome Friday. I'd love to have you in my mindful challenge, and I'll talk to you later. Bye, guys.